Okay, so I'm back, and I'm just kind of watching the stream here, make sure that I can see what you guys see, and I think we're in good shape. I think also we're going to go ahead and boot up GameMaker so that GameMaker can. Uh, so we're still doing some troubleshooting. I'm going to start GameMaker, and it's going to run the screen, and then I'm going to connect the game capture input to the screen. So if you just hopped in, like friend of Malady, basically I just updated GameMaker, and I'm kind of showing everybody the update process, and this has caused the game to not quite work correctly. So there it is. The second that I ran OBS, and OBS is the Open Broadcaster software, the second that I ran it in that, now we can see the game. So my next step here, guys, was going to be to go ahead in here and play through story mode. I played through story mode once, and everything worked fine. I'm playing through again to see if, yeah, and so there's a game-breaking change. I'll make sure that you can see my monitor. I just swung the katana. You guys saw me multiple times swing the katana previously, and now all of a sudden I'm getting game-breaking changes after the upgrade. So I've copied the update here. I want to make sure I paste it. And so we're just going to have to address these and work through these as they come up. Not a big deal at all. But wanted to stop for a second and answer friend of Malady. Yeah, man, the convention went really well. I did a few shout-outs right at the beginning of the stream. So when I push those, well, when this stream is over, you might go back and check them out either here on Twitch, or you can check them out on YouTube, because I push all the videos to YouTube. So yeah, man, we had a great time. Had some amazing feedback from some big shmup fans, some from also from some Neo Geo fans, and got to talk to several arcade operators and owners of arcades, and that was a lot of fun. So just a really good experience all around. The guys from Retroids had us in the room in a separate room, and kind of with the guys from Galloping Ghost in Chicago, and that was just a really good experience. The Retroids guys are Trickman Terry and Sushi X, and those guys are awesome. So it was really good to be hosted with those guys and by those guys, and they put on a good event for all of us. So let's look at these bugs here, and let's try to address them. It looks like these bugs are pretty much the exact same bug up to this point. Both of them have to do with the Skycurser katana, and they're both in the step event number 1. It's not an end step event, it's just the regular step event, and it's the first step event. I only have one step event, and it's happening in the script weapon attack. So basically in this step event, I call script weapon attack, I pass in self.id, and we're seeing here the error says unable to find any instance from for object index -4 name undefined at line 142, and line 142 is looking for argument 0.id object Skycurser katana, and looking to see if the hit counter for the katana is greater than 0 when connecting with hit 5, which is a specific object that we're going to go look at. So let's go do this. And I know for sure we'll just head straight to the script weapon attack and look at line 142. And let's just go straight there, and it's basically running this one right here. Now there are multiple options for the katana to connect with in here, but this may be the first one where we're doing the check for the katana. So let me just see here. I'm just going to go through the code a little bit. I'm going to make this a little bit larger. And I am doing a check for a katana here. Let's see what the exact error was. It says it's only showing me the line. It's not exactly showing me. It's basically saying it's having a problem with the object index. I feel like that is this guy right here that they're referring to. So I'm not entirely sure what to do about that yet. So let's just kind of go here. I'm making sure that I don't see this anywhere else before there. I do see it right there. Kind of surprised. Maybe my object index that it's referencing, which I would think in this case it would be an instance index, would be hit 5, but let's just keep looking for a minute here. No more objects. Skycurser katana, nothing, nothing. Enemy 5 is hit 5A, and then carrier is hit 5. So 142 is right here. So it either has a problem with, I'm guessing, this right here or this right here. Now, it didn't really complain about script object type, so I'm almost thinking that it's not referring to this. But let's go look at script object type really quick as well. And that guy is right here. We do look for an object index right here. Object index is equal to argument 1. So I think what I might do is update this. Since this does say object index, it might actually be having a problem. Yeah, thanks a lot, Phrenology. It was a huge success. Felt really good and got a chance to make some really good connections for when we are ready to finally launch this arcade cabinet. So object index is equal to argument 1. We're passing in the ID of the object. This all looks correct to me. We're passing in the ID of the object, and we're making sure it matches this. But I'm thinking, let's see if the object index, I did not necessarily mean to close that, but I'm thinking the object index is not a string, and I'm going to verify that. Returns the index number of the object that the instance has been made from. So this could be a little bit better. I don't think this is what I want. I think it was working previously, but I think we may modify this a little bit. I think we'll do an object get name. Let's go back and look at the script. But you know, I guess my point in all this is that there's a little bit of a problem with the update that I mean, I kind of have a problem with the update is like, if there was a problem with this, why didn't they, you know, why didn't this fail in the previous build? Why does it fail now and not in the previous build? Maybe they just didn't have it in there correctly, but the problem is when I go to update and now I have game-breaking changes, then man, that could put me as a developer in a really bad position. So anyway, all right. Script weapon attack, I was there, and then I was also looking at script object type. I think what I'm going to do is this is going to be a little bit different. And I'm going to say object get name, and I'm going to do all of these different as I pass it into this script. And instead of argument 1 like this, well, argument 1 will be a string. I know for sure object get name, did that wrong, object get name is a built-in method. We'll look at it real quick. It is right here, but let's just look and see what that returns, if it's a string or an index or a number or what it is. So it says returns the name of the specified object as defined in the resource tree. The index of the object to check, so we are passing in the index of the object. And then it says down here, the above code will get the name of the object index for the instance running the code and store the return value in the variable string. The string is just this guy right here. I don't see anything yet that says it's a string, but here it says it's a string. This function will return the name as a string, specifically the type that it's going to return as a string. So that is key for us. That means everything that we pass in can't be in object index form, or can't kind of be like this. It has to be in quotes. So unfortunately, that's going to be just a little bit of work, but also fortunately, we do have this all in one file. So once we make these changes, they should go across the board. Everything should work better and as expected. So I'm passing. Basically, what I'm doing is finding all the places I'm calling script object type, and the two arguments that I'm passing in. This argument is fine to leave as argument 0.id, and passing this guy in as a string, the second argument in as a string. And if you look at the other two, the other files, let's just reduce this for a second and go back to script object type. And you're wondering, I said two arguments, but you only see argument 1 here. Well, remember that the index of the arguments passed in starts at 0. So it starts at argument 0 through, I think you can go up to argument 15. Basically, you can pass in a total of 16 arguments into any script. If you're running out of room to pass in arguments, all you have to do is basically create an array or a list, and you can pass in way more information to a script. But in general, it's really easy to pass in these smaller types and get out what you need. Now, if I wanted to, I could also go something like this. GameMaker allows you to basically put square brackets around it. If you want to do something like that, but just to save a little bit of space, I do it like this. They accept both ways, and they state in their documentation that they accept both ways. Normally, I probably would go with the square brackets just to kind of think of it as an array, but since I kind of started out doing that way when I was getting acquainted with GameMaker, it's been good just to leave it that way. So I'm still looking for script object type. I think what I can do, the best way to do this is to just search for it in this file and go down the list, find the next one, make sure that I'm passing in a string. Because remember, object get name returns a string, so we have to make sure we're comparing it with the same type. So next. And next. There's a lot of checks in here for the object type. Because mainly we're checking a lot in this file for object type because we're passing multiple weapon attacks through this specific script, and we just want to make sure that we keep our code as consolidated as possible, write as few duplicate lines as possible. Ideally, the ideal scenario would be no duplicate lines, and reusing code where possible. So that's kind of what we're going for now. I'm not perfect, but I'm striving for perfect, and it takes a lot of time to just kind of go back. Once you've created something, it takes a lot of time to go back and kind of make sure that it's right. So we're just kind of spending a little bit of time at the moment in doing that. This is looking a little funny to me. Script object type is this. It looks like I've got a closing parentheses out of place. And I think that means that this should disappear. Yeah, that was weird, mate. I don't think that would be what caused the bug by any means, because it did not break on that line. So keep continuing on here. Let's look for the next one. Griffin Special. Next. Oh, I did remember one other thing that I need to add to my checklist of items to update, which is when you use the Griffin Special on Gaki, he doesn't always blink. Basically, what we did with Gaki, we didn't want him to be super ridiculous when you're hitting him with all your attacks. So we made him blink over only every 10 hits. So what we're going to do, because obviously the special is supposed to be really strong, we're just going to increase the power of, well, not the power, we're just going to say if the connection to Gaki is with the Griffin special, yes, we're going to force Gaki to blink. Lots of updates here, lots of updates. Getting there, getting there. We're close to the bottom of the file. That's good. But, you know, honestly, when I figured out that object index did not exactly return the name of, or kind of like the type, I was thinking that it would basically return like this, right? Object index when you run object index. But I kind of learned that it didn't return like that a little bit before MGC, and I was surprised that it was still working. What I saw it returning was a number, and that makes sense because it's an index of a particular object. Like a particular instance is an index of an object. So I'm sure the game has like an ID or a number that they keep associated with each instance that comes on screen. And of course I've seen this multiple times as I've been programming, but just mistakenly understood how what object index returns, so I was returning what I kind of thought was the object index, which would kind of be something like this, where I'm calling out the object specifically. But that's not true. They return a number or an ID associated with an object. And so what I'm actually trying to do is figure out what is the name of the object that's getting passed through here. So object get name returns a string, and I think we've solved our problem up to this point. Let me just go back through here and do a spot check on everything that's highlighted. Make sure it looks correct to me before I just jump out of here. I'm sure it'll break if something's wrong pretty quickly, but it's good to just go back and check really quick before you save. Everything looks good so far. I'm seeing quotes around everything that I want to see quotes around, so I think we're good shape there. Save. Now, let me look for anything that says script object type outside of that file and make sure that it also has the same update. And I don't think I have it on a lot of other files, but we're about to find out. Okay, this is all in script weapon attack, all the way down that I see so far. Yeah, everything calling that is in script weapon attack. So I'm seeing that basically right here. And so I think we're in good shape. All right, to Beasley, man, thanks so much. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming and checking on me. I very much appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Okay, so we're good. All right, we're going to test this. That should have fixed the swipe with the katana blade. If not, if that did not exactly fix the swipe, no worries. That means the problem was with the second half of that conditional, and so we'll go back and address the second half of that conditional. So we're headed back in.
Skycurser. Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Nope, still got a bug. Still on the same line. Just going to copy it just to make sure. Yeah, it was basically the exact same bug. So let's look at more closely at that bug. Unable to find any instance for object index -4, name undefined. If script object type argument 0.id is object Skycurser katana. Now I want to activate that one more time because I think the output will be a little different. I missed the click of the copy button, so I'm going to copy that bug one more time just to make sure that it picked up my new changes. It should have picked up my new changes based on all those strings that I just created.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
Okay, copy, switch over. Yeah, so here's the thing. It did pick up my updates. So I'm thinking it's not having a problem with that. I'm thinking more that it's having a problem with this guy. But not entirely sure here. So let's look at this. Again, line 142. I don't know why it would have a problem with hit 5, but so 142 is definitely tank 1. Does tank 1, my next question is, does tank 1 have katana hit counter associated with it? Copy this variable. So we're going to go look at tank 1 and see what he's calling for create specifically. Here's tank 1, object tank 1, create. He's doing an event inherited. I do not see katana hit counter yet, but I may in a second. Let's see. Okay, don't see it yet. Let me search for it in the file here. It may be in the parent event. Let's make sure this inherits properly. It inherits object base enemy, which is right here. We're going to go look at object base enemy. Yep, inherits from object base enemy, and then we can see it. We can see object tank 1 there. So in the create event, we have script object base enemy init. Let's go look at that script, and I'm thinking I may know what a problem is here just based on what I see currently. Let's go look at this though. Yeah, I think I know what the problem is. So we should still be passing the ID in and setting all these to argument 0 dot, or I could do it with argument 0. So basically what I'm saying is in the create event, pass in argument or self.id, because we want to pass in this object and its ID. And here in the script object base enemy init, I think we can just go something like this, which would take care of all of this with argument 0.id. Let's see if this works as I hope it does. If it does, it'll save us a lot of time. Otherwise, we just put argument 0 in front of everything. Zappo Fish Turbo just got banned because he came in and started posting spam links. Alright, so we're trying again here, going back in game. We're in a good spot. Let's just verify this, make sure you guys can see what I can see. Okay.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
Cool. What's up, Chris? So yeah, I'll show you here in just a second. I'm trying to debug something. I'm getting ready to swipe with the katana, see if it breaks. Let's see. Yep, still broken. Everything looks the exact same as previously when I was looking at this. So let's abort that. So if you're just joining and you're wondering the difference between Skycurser Dev and Skycurser, I'm Skycurser Dev. Chris is Skycurser. He's the art guy. He's the also the sound and music guy. So good to see you in here, man. Yeah, I just somebody just posted a spam link, so I just banned him. Also, so Chris, what I'm working on is I'm currently going through a checklist. Some of these things may or may not be addressed today, but more importantly, right now, of course, I've been putting off an upgrade for Game Maker. For about 2 or 3 weeks, I've been seeing the the pop-up when you start Game Maker to go ahead and do an upgrade. And if you remember, Chris, the last time I did an upgrade there, I told you, I mean, we had a conversation about it. Basically, I had to revert Game Maker because there were game-breaking changes after I did the upgrade. Well, I wanted to actually get that on stream today and do the upgrade on stream. I did the upgrade, came and tested the game after the upgrade, and boom, more game-breaking changes. So I'm currently, at this instant, trying to address the game-breaking changes, and then I'll go back and continue addressing MGC feedback. So, yeah, basically, if you hop on, I think, Chris, I think you're invited into this list, but I'll make sure real quick. Yeah, let me see if I can invite you into this one. If you're not already on here, you should be. Share, print, export, additional settings, add members. Here we go. So Chris, let me make sure you guys are in here, and Phil is in here whenever he wants. But if you want to check out exactly the MGC feedback checklist or make changes to it, Chris, now you can sign in and click on the one that says assigned MGC feedback, and then you can see the checklist and you can edit from there. So I know you know how to use Trello. So where we're at, I think we may still try to address this. We may just do this slightly differently than the way I just handed it off. I think I'm going to, instead of the way I have it, I'm going to take it back to what it was. Yeah, no problem, dude. And go argument 0. And yeah, also I guess I should mention, since Chris is in here, Chris was at MGC with me, so we, drove all the way over to Wisconsin and took the cabinet with us, and there was 3 of us total. Chris drove separately, and myself and Phil took the cabinet, and we all hung out at the booth in the cabinet for 2 days straight, basically, and it was a lot of fun. Had some really good feedback. So yeah, Chris, at the very beginning of the stream. Yeah, man. Thanks for tweeting to us the other day. I saw that. Yeah, totally glad to help out with that. That's kind of what I'm trying to do with the streams, just kind of show that for the most part, when trying to develop something, you can keep your costs low, and try to save money where possible. That's kind of what we're trying to do now. Every once in a while, if you need something, you have to spend money, say for like if you want to do a video editor, but you don't need to do something like that, or you want to get a plug-in for Game Maker or something like that. Sometimes that costs money. Sometimes you can't get around that, but where possible, we just try to save money. Trello is known to kind of be like a dev team workflow. So, all right, see if these changes worked or not.
Mission 1.
Trying again.
Death at dusk.
Come on, you know you want to.
Go.
Still having the bug. Exact same change. Object index dashboard name undefined. Still basically a problem. So the good thing is, I think we're fine, and I like the way I have it with this init script. I don't want to necessarily change anything because I've passed in the ID from the create event and made sure that it is exactly assigned to that object. So I think I like where that's at, and I'm not necessarily going to make any more changes to that. But we're still having problems with this line right here. No real idea, based on anything that I saw in the update process, what could be the potential problems. Let me just do a little bit of research online here. Game Maker update undefined. Let's just see if that brings anything up. Yeah, include files undefined after update. Let's just see if this is somewhat related. So this guy says he deleted the undefined files and re-included them. I don't know why they were corrupt after the update, but they appear to work now. Keep your resources backed up. That would be really annoying if I had to do something like that, where I had to maybe delete an object or something just to make sure it was working. That would be really dumb. Game Maker server. I'm not dealing with the server yet. And variable scope rules will break old code. New GML variable scope rules. Let's read this. Yo-Yo Games CDO Russell K. at the bottom of this article. As it turns out, the implication of the changes that I expressed concerns about in this article were overblown. The Yo-Yo Games tech blog article that caused my concerns wasn't clear enough in describing these, resulting in my misunderstanding the severity of the changes. That's fine. I'm a lifer game maker, so it's all good. I'm not necessarily trying to cause a stink here. And when was this? Was this like recent, or was this like a while ago? That's not too long ago. Visibility of variables, local scope, instance scope, explicit scope, some gotchas. Okay, local scope is local across the whole event, even if the variables are within different code actions. This can be confusing coming from earlier versions of GameMaker where variables are local to actions, not the whole event. This is due to optimizations within Studio that concatenates all the actions together and turns drag and drop into code, so the whole event becomes a single script that is executed. Global var keyword can hide local and instance variables if the same name is used for a global var variable as one used for local and instance variables. Then strange things that can occur. The strangeness will be different between HTML5 and YYC, as well as the JavaScript and C++ languages have different ideas on how scoping works, so there can be some undefined results. We will be introducing an error to ensure that this is disallowed in future versions, but it is a bad idea and something you should be wary of. The whole global var keyword is a bad idea and will be removed in a future version of GML. Awesome. But for now, we have left it in for backward compatibility and bad habits. Well, shouldn't have been in there in the first place if it's going to work that way and you're going to make it break in future versions. But okay, that's fine. Using an object or ID as a prefix will work differently across different platforms and also work differently if the variable is being read or written to. So it is recommended that you do not do this. It is better and more sensible to use the with syntax rather than an object prefix. So do not do this. Instead, do this. Okay. Well, so kind of what I just did was prefix everything with argument 0 dot something, right? So maybe I guess what he's saying now is take the object player and set, basically this says sets object player dot x to enemy dot x. GML keywords that change scope. Some GML language elements change the scope and how variables are looked up. The most notable one of these is the with keyword. This can be used in many ways, but the essence of it is the statement body is executed in the context of the argument of the with. So any instance variables referenced by the statement are now using the argument as the instance. Okay. An object name or ID can also be used. Makes problem. Mike has many problems. This is a whole other article, and we really cannot go into that now. He had a specific problem with scoping that left him scratching his head. Coming from a C++ background, he has become used to the scoping rules in that. Now one of the major differences in C++ is that variables are scoped within blocks of code denoted by curly brackets. If a variable declaration is within one of these blocks, then each time that block is entered, the variable will be initialized as the block is entered. This is not true in GML, as local scope is the whole event or script and not the code block that it is in, and can lead to confusion, especially if your name is Mike. So I'm wondering if he's having problems with this guy. Nope, this guy's name's Chris. So the code that caused confusion was like this. Okay. Coming from a C++ background, Mike expects the variable A to be reset. Yes, I would too. Not coming from a C++ background, but from many other open source backgrounds. Okay, and so a different array would be added to each entry of the map, but because the GML scoping rules, the variable is not reset within the for statement, but is only scoped within the full event. This meant that it was the same array that was being added to each of the map entries. Fortunately, there was an easy fix for Mike's problem by a simple change when the variable is defined. So he just did a var a instead. Var a equals 0. By a simple change when the variable is defined. So instead of saying var a, I mean he was declaring it right here, but he's saying basically that you have to change the type and then you can basically create an array. I'm not sure that I agree that that's the best idea. By adding the equals 0 to the declaration of the local variable a, we ensure that it is initialized at the location of the declaration, even though I would personally say that this was initializing it at the location of the declaration. Then each run through of the for loop, the variable a is set to the real value 0, which breaks any association with the array. Your mouse double clicks everything. I'm not sure, man. How about click a link to Google, and I'll paste the link there for you so you can go search. Then each run through of the for loop, the variable a is set to the real value 0, which breaks any association with the array, which would now be in the map. So the association is broken, which was the behavior that Mike intended and a C++ programmer would expect. Egad, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Using global var is referred to using global prefix, then it is at global scope and is visible from all code areas. If a variable has not been declared with var or global var and is not referred to using global or any other prefix, then it is an instance variable and is in the instance scoped. Okay, so based on some of that, what I just saw, I think I do, like I just did this a second ago, but I think he's basically saying that we shouldn't do this anymore. Basically I'm doing this in the context of a script, but he's saying to go ahead and put this in the context of a with block. So I'll start getting in the habit of doing that from this point forward. Stuff like this happens with updates. You just got to roll with it and make your updates. It takes time to go back and update. It's can be kind of frustrating for a developer, but what would be really frustrating is if they changed it back in the future. It sounds like they've made a decision on this, and I can deal with it and move forward. Not that big of a deal. They're not even letting it break yet, but it sounds like they might let it break in the future. And I'm not even going to say with argument 0.id here. I'm just going to put it in with argument 0, and that should set everything here. So I'm going to rerun my code one more time. I think I had with argument 0.id, and see if this works or breaks based on everything I just read. So sorry for the sidebar, but if you're a developer, you get used to reading a lot of documentation. So that shouldn't have been too bad for you. You basically got to stay up on how the code base is changing, and make sure that you're always current with documentation. So if you're watching the stream ever, you'll see me always reading documentation. First of all, because there's no way you can memorize everything. It'd be awesome if you could just do drag and drop everything, but if you did drag and drop everything, you wouldn't have full control over the code like you would like to.
Stop mission 1. Death at dawn.
Okay, still have the bug. Surprise, surprise. Okay. Not a problem. Still just trying to brainstorm and troubleshoot here. What could be the actual problem? I think we've got everything correct. I'm going to go through this flow one more time. Object tank 1. Let's make sure our flow is correct here. This is our code. We're in hit 5, which we're saying is object tank 1. Add object tank 1. I believe this is correct because there's multiple other places in the code where this is running. So this is pointing me to this part of the code here. So hit 5 is basically supposed to be the reference to this object right here. So I'm setting the reference to this object right here. Hit 5 then, which is object tank 1, should have a variable associated with it or a property associated with it that is katana hit counter. So I'm in the process of looking to see if I set the variable katana hit counter in the create code. So I'm doing a search here. Katana hit counter doesn't get turned up, but I am inheriting, this object is inheriting from its parent, and specifically it's inheriting the create event. This right here inherits the parent event of the exact same kind, event inherited, that method right there, and you can see that the parent object is object base enemy. If I go to object base enemy, I can see object tank 1 right here. And we can see that the create method basically passes self.id, which is the parent object's ID, to a script called script object base enemy init. So we go look at that one, and we say with argument 0, set all these variables, and we have katana hit counter here. Let's do the paste of our variable name. Which apparently I don't have in my current clipboard. Okay, let's go make sure we cut and paste that, and make sure we have the exact same name. Find katana hit counter. So it finds it as it should, and it is set right there. So at the moment, I'm scratching my head. I'm not exactly sure why it wants to break right here. I'm wondering if I could do something right here where I might say something like, just put this up a little bit higher by itself. Say something like, if I'm trying to, so you're just seeing me troubleshoot at the moment. If hit 5 katana hit counter is greater than 0, and if it breaks right here, this would be good news because this would show us that we had a problem right here. But if it breaks back on the same line, man, that's got to be pointing me back towards that other script, huh? So made it here, just a simple debug message. Save it. And run it again. Now, it may just break right here. I think I might know what it is if they change the way conditionals work. It would just break right here in general if any other object is trying to pass through right there, if that object doesn't have katana hit counter associated with it.
Mission 1.
Let's see.
Death at dusk.
Okay, so good there. Okay, we break on line 141. So that is telling me exactly what I hoped to find out, but I still don't know if I have a solution for, which is that it doesn't like that line. So that's the piece that it doesn't like. Well, a normal conditional, if this is working correctly, a normal conditional would basically say, okay, in programming, a normal conditional, the way it would work if you have an AND statement here would be that only if this does not evaluate, only if this does evaluate to true, then run this code right here. The problem may be that this is not object Skycurser Katana, and the update is now incorrectly running this when it should. It might be something like, I know we're swiping with the Katana. I'm just speculating at this point, but I think what I'm going to do is just do a show debug message here and say argument 0 dot ID, and we'll do, instead of that, we'll do object index, and we'll even add object get name around that. And so we want to know the name of this object. Now there will be multiple names, but the one that breaks, we should have that name last. So your debug is in your compile window. Thanks to one of the recent viewers for showing me that. I was creating my own debugger, and it was not, it wasn't capturing as much data as I would have liked it to, and so now I see it in the compile window. So I'm going to look and see what the very last object index is when I hit play, and if it's object Skycurser Katana, then we'll be really confused, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so I'm expecting it to, I'm basically expecting to go in, for it to break, and then for me to look at the debug message.
Scar Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Okay, let's see what the debug message says. I probably should have added one more piece to the debug message, which is like a little bit of an intro line, which is current weapon, because it's going to be hard to find if I don't, put a custom string at the beginning of this, what was coming through here. So I might be able to see something. I think I did see it as soon as the error happened, but now I have all this extra data that seemed to kind of like dump to the compile window when I came out of there. So save that guy. Basically hitting play causes GameMaker to save, so I just hit play or start the compile. So it runs through a save anyway, instead of me having to save and then try running through a compile and try to save again. So there we go. Going back in here. Alright, let's see what we got.
Mission 1. Death at dusk.
Current weapon, object Skycurser Katana. Exactly what I was hoping to see, but again, back to the really confused piece of it, because, and see how it dumped all that extra info down here, but we're going to go back and look at this and see the current weapon. It dumps all the global variables, I guess, right then. Self variables, I guess it dumps everything right then. And so hit 5 is showing an object index of -4. So this is telling me that these variables are all showing the same object index, which is really odd to me. That should not be occurring. And then there's the error, and we saw current weapon in here, but I don't see it at the moment. Still looking at this debug. Can I search the debug? Nope. Still didn't see current weapon when I went back up through there. Yay, debugging. There it is. Current weapon, object Skycurser katana. But back to that really weird thing that we saw. This, all these are showing up as -4. -4, -4, -4, -4, -4. This is really troubling to me. Mainly because I'm setting each of these variables to a different object. So the fact that they're all showing up as the same index is really perplexing. I think this probably has to do with what we just read. Yeah, thanks, man. Buy a new mouse, Google. Awesome. Yeah. So, friend of Malady, are you having an error from the upgrade or just some other error? But back to, as friend of Malady's responding, back to these variables. I see that as saying that basically the step event is not behaving as I would hope it would every step. I would hope that it would kind of set itself if something in particular was connecting, because that's just kind of how I would expect it to work. But what I maybe see it saying is that if I shot the Vulcan cannon or I shot the shotgun before I used the katana, then that may be index -4. And so that would be the problem here. I'm wondering if I go in and shoot and just swipe the katana first, if that's the case. Not entirely sure what to do about it at the moment.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk.
Okay, so still the same problem, self variables. So maybe I think I might know what's happening here. That hit 5 is not registering as what I think it's registering as right here, right? So I'm looking at hit 5. What I think was happening, what I thought was happening was I was setting hit 5 to object tank 1. What I might actually be doing is setting hit 5 to argument 0, which is the katana blade. And the katana blade doesn't have a katana hit counter, obviously. However, object tank 1 does have an object katana hit counter. Again, why this would, change from what it was to what it is now, I'm almost shocked that, it's almost like it's changed from object tank 1 to my katana blade. Okay, friend of Malady, different error, got it. Okay, so how to handle this, First of all, let's go read the documentation. And let's see what instance place says that it returns. Checks for a collision with the specified object and returns its ID. with this function, you can check a position for a collision with another instance or all instances of an object using the collision mask of the instance, yada yada yada. When you use this, you're effectively using GameMaker Studio to move the instance to the new position, check for a collision, move back and tell you if a collision was found or not. This will work for precise collisions, but only if both the instance and the object being checked for have precise collision masks selected, otherwise only bounding box collisions are applied. Fine with me. This function will return the unique instance ID of the object being collided, but if that is not needed, it is slightly faster to use the function place meaning. This function also accepts the special keywords all and other, and will return the keyword no one if no collision occurs. So I've got an idea. Which is, I'm going to say object get name of hit 5. Because if it's not object tank 1, I'm going to be really upset, because this should be the ID of object tank 1. There may be a workaround here. If this is object tank 1, we're in good shape. Well, if it's an instance of object tank 1, so we'll just say instead of what we have here, we'll say instead of argument 0.objectIndex, we'll say object tank 1. No, sorry, hit 5. Hit 5 dot object index. Boom. Try to mess with me, game maker. See what happens. Alright, so current weapon, object get name, pass in the object index of what object it is, and we should know what the weapon is. And so we're going to actually do all caps and say collision is here, so we can see it a little bit easier. Go ahead and hit play. And we're compiling. And we're trying to specifically figure out what the hit 5 specific object name is, because I have a feeling that is the katana and not object tank 1 like I expect it to be.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk.
So the collision did not load for me before it broke. And I'm still looking, but I don't think I'm going to see the other. Wait, did I see it? Nope, that's just the compile piece of it. Initialize everything, prepare game, prepare all the objects, and then run, enter main loop, loaded, broke. I didn't mean to make that full screen. Let's go ahead and abort, see what it dumps out. Once again, all the variables are the same. Man, I really expected to see collision is here, but it failed before it ran that, and now it's saying 141. Didn't like that. Hit 5 dot. Why doesn't it have an object index there? How about we say if hit 5 does not equal no one? That might not work though. Hold on a second. Let's try to show it right next to this other debug message. Huh. Okay. Alright. So glad I wasn't debugging this right before MGC. I would have been stressing out.
Mission 1. Death at dusk.
Where's the compile screen? Did we just not get it this time or what? There it is. Okay. I mean, that's the same one that we've been seeing, but well, how about we say this? This may fix it. Because this may be doing what it should be doing, you know? This may be actually, this may be correctly saying, okay, if you do have hit 5, look for the katana hit counter or the griffin hit counter. But what we may do instead is, if instance exists, so that it doesn't just find nothing, object tank 1, close it here, and then we're going to go look for it. Oh, well, I'm also realizing I'm basically doing what he was saying not to do, like overwriting a variable right here. So maybe this is interfering with what I'm trying to do here, hit 5, up at hit 5. So we'll check that in a second.
Mission 1. Death at dusk.
Line 268, and everything was going super fast. I must have accidentally hit the tab button. Hit boss 1, katana hit counter, so it just went right past it. And now it's having the same problem with the next one. So let's see what our debugging did. I don't even think it hit it. Yep. Okay. Fine, fine. I'm okay with that. This may need to change, but it didn't break right now. Not going to touch it. Object boss 1. If instance exists, object boss 1. I know I've got these checks in a couple other places, so I would not be surprised if I have to make a couple more updates. Okay, here we go. Block that one out, probably find the next one. See if there was something weird on the last one when I loaded. It was going super fast. I feel like that was related to me, speeding up this speed engine, but hopefully we don't see that again.
Mission 1.
Cool. No speed.
Death
No
at
super speed.
DOS. Go!
Okay, there's the katana. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Now let's see if it works when I connect with the carrier, the tank. Tank just came on screen. It got into 143 and had a problem. So that was the tank coming on screen right at the end there, right before it had a problem. And once again, there's no way for me to check and see what hit 5 actually is. I wanted to see the name of hit 5, but not really able to see it because it doesn't like object get name of the object index. Maybe I can count that as the index. I know it's the ID. Let me see. I might have to do a little research here. Game maker get object index with ID. Index of the object this is an instance of. Okay. Yeah, thanks guys. I'm working through it here. Getting instance IDs at creation. Access object members from instance ID. Let's see. Show debug message. Current collision. Object get name. Can I just pass in the ID or not? I don't think I'll be able to. Okay, nothing there that I see. Find exists. Let's activate all order. Pay selection lock, change position, snap to grid, nothing. Properties. Persistent depth alarm object index. Huh. That's weird, because basically built-in variables that an instance has, The instance should have the object index, which is what I tried to do earlier, and it didn't like that. Hit 5.object index. And one other thing I could probably do right before this is show debug message object index, just to make sure it can grab the object index. If I get something here, I know it got it. Object index current collision. I think it's going to break on one of these. Just going to look at the ID. I mean, I don't know that's going to tell me anything, but I should be able to grab it. Wondering if the ID is going to be -4 like we saw a second ago. Play. Okay, we're going to test this again.
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
There's the bug. Object ID. Unable to find any instance for object index -4. Name undefined. Man, are you kidding me? Couldn't even get the ID? It's gotta be that it's just overwriting it. Doesn't even show the very first message. So I think what's happening, Game Maker, so frustrating. Yeah, man, I know. It's like ridiculous how much it just like blows up your project. I don't know that I would agree with some of the stuff they were saying either, man. The way that they're talking. I mean, I can understand some of that in terms of like speed of how it should work. Yeah, exactly, man. I can understand how they would not want to overwrite variables over and over again, partially just because of speed, but it's pretty dumb that I would have to go something like hit 5 = 0 to reset it every single loop. Let me just try that. Something like that. I don't really want to have to say var hit 5 = 0 either. I mean, I'll do it if I have to, but
Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
yep. Speed up. Here's the bug. Object ID. same problem, line 143. Okay, so I've got one more idea, which is basically just to declare var hit 5 right here, and then that should basically reset it every loop. I shouldn't have to do that, but it looks like I have to right now. And I really shouldn't have to change this, but I'm almost thinking I have to. Hit 5B, B, B, hit 5B. I'm just going to change it right now just to get it out of the realm of possibility. And I'm resetting var. I'm resetting hit 5. I'm making it a local variable instead of I don't want to go back and read it right now, but basically instead of an instance variable. See if this fixes it.
Skycurser. Mission 1. Death at dusk. Go!
Okay, speed up. Fast forward. Of course, there's a bug. And still doesn't like looking for the ID, but it doesn't really give me the same. It doesn't give me the same output. Like undefined index -4. I mean, an instance variable, as we see here, should have an ID, and it's not even like, it doesn't even want the ID. Line 143. I don't see any other errors with that right now. Do add. It's almost like it just doesn't like the fact that it thinks I'm adding something and I'm not really. I'm concatenating here, so I could just go, I think I could just force it to be a string right here. So string that, string that. Let's see if that's what it's having a problem with at this instant. And I'm almost up on time, unfortunately, today, guys. This is why I wanted to make sure to do the update on stream, just in case we ran into a bug, so that you could see just the process of troubleshooting through this. Now, we're still going to update everything based off of our feedback at MGC, but I think we did the right thing here, updating on stream, just so that we could kind of work through this headache together and could reference it in the future if necessary.
Mission 1.
Okay, I'm going to speed up again.
Death at dusk. Go!
Okay, I should be right up on the tank here in a second. Boom! Fixed it. Fixed it. Oh. Wow. Just broke again. So, oh man, I'm trying to think what the, let's look at the stack frame. So when there was 2 on screen, it had a problem as opposed to 1. I'm not sure if that's, if I'm thinking along the right lines there, but let's go back up here and look. Hit 5. I don't even see it anywhere on here. Check that out. So it did show the string of the collision, and then the ID stay the same. Man, it's almost like GameMaker didn't like the fact that it loaded one object index in initially. Well, this is good. Look at this. Object ID here is 308, and then we get down here, I think it changes 504. So that's good. That's really good, actually, because I was concerned with their updates that they were going to not recognize, you know, man, that would be insane if they didn't recognize new objects that were the exact same and give them a different instance ID. Man, I don't even know. That would basically be breaking all of their functionality. So what did it break on exactly? Again, it couldn't find object index -4, and then output hit 5 is -4 again. And here's the new instance ID 100176. So did something else? I mean, look at this. It's getting overwritten to -4, but multiple other variables have the exact same value, and I'm not sure if this right here is interfering with this. -4, -4, -4, -4, -4, -4, -4, -4. So I got to figure out what to do, how to update this, and I think we'll be in a good spot. I don't really know. I think the deal here was that this one was registered as 45. I'm looking here what this other index was, if it was 45. So the IDs were different, but the index was the same, because it was the same object index. But whenever it got down to here, I think the object index changed altogether to -4, which is fine. I mean, the object should have the exact same object index as the let me rephrase that. The instance should have the exact same object index as the as another instance that is from the same object, if that makes sense. Hopefully, I think I said it clearly. But then for some reason here it's no longer 45, it's -4. So that means somewhere in here in our code we're basically probably have another hit 5 that is resetting. Let's see, hit 5. Next. Going through here, hit 5. This is all correct. See where the next one comes in. 5B, fine. Okay, that's the end. Let's go back. Everything else should be like 5A, so man, I do not know. So I'm gonna hop off here, guys. This is my stream for today. Unfortunately, I'm not hopping off because I'm defeated. I'm hopping off because it's about 10:30 and I've been on for close to at least 2 hours at this point. So yeah, thanks for joining me today. What we did, just a recap of the stream. We basically went over everything we covered. Just kind of did some shout outs from MGC and just talked about how good of a time we had. You're going to see, if you go look at our archives for today, that the stream is split up into 2 different streams, mainly because right after the update nobody could see the game after it was compiled when I was playing it, mainly because GameMaker now runs compiled games as an admin. So basically what I had to do was reset OBS and run OBS as an admin so it too could see the window of Skycurser and GameMaker, and that was a little frustrating, but no worries there. The main thing is that when we ran an update with GameMaker, we saw some major breaks, and this is fine. This may just mean that I have been incorrectly using these variables up to this point, or the scope of these variables up to this point. So I'm going to do a little bit more reading and see if there's if these can be addressed fairly quickly. And if I figure out the solution, I'll come back tomorrow and report back, or my next stream, whenever I stream next, and report back. And that should be it. But you'll see us doing some MGC updates based on feedback over the next couple streams. If you haven't followed us on Twitch, please do. Also, we add Twitch archives to YouTube, so every single one of them is over there. Follow us on Twitter, because we post there when we're getting ready to stream live, and follow us on Tumblr, skycurser.tumblr.com, and you can see all of our updates before I even get them, in terms of artwork and some of the other graphics that we put on there. So thanks so much for tuning in today, guys. This was a good stream, some good troubleshooting going on, and I will see you next time.